Hey everyone, this is Luis. Today in 100% podcast mode. I wanted to say hello and show you how I created a cinematic ambient track using our brand new entry in the Foundations series, Foundations Nylon Guitars. For this piece, titled Fin de Caminos, End of Roads, I was inspired by one of my favorite composers, Gustavo Santaolalla, and his incredible work in the Last of Us soundtracks. His compositions are profoundly cinematic and epic, but still convey a clear sense of thrill, sadness, uncertainty, whatever the story calls for. What I love the most though is his use of plucked in stringed instruments from around the world, particularly South America. And I felt that it'd be cool to show you how I created such a track using only free instruments and mostly native plugins, while also showcasing Foundations nylon guitars. So here's the track. First thing that I wanted was like a big open pad to start things up. So using the Nylon Clouds patch, which features mostly the textures, and adding some punished light, I was able to create like a very gnarly sweeping pad. Let's see how it sounds without the effects. If we add punish, then by adding some filter using Logic's native auto filter, you can smooth it out. And with automation, I basically am controlling the cutoff filter just to have it evolve across time. Last thing I did was added some EQ just to carve out some space around this area for the other instruments to pop out. So the space that this is created for is for the guitar arpeggios that are going to set the tone of the guitars. Something that I did for this to sound real is using the same pattern that I would use playing the guitar, so the same voicing. And then using a reverse, using heavenly reverses, I'm able to lead into these notes, so there's like a nice effect of like reverse guitar going into the actual arpeggio, which I think is pretty neat. The last part of this section is the bass. And for that, I grabbed another preset, which is called Other Worlds. And what I did is just tuned it down a whole octave. And it also features mostly the texture. It's interesting, if you were to play it on its own, it sounds so small and tiny. With overdrive, we smooth it out with filter, some reverb to give it depth, compressor to level it up, and EQ to give it a little more darkness and more bottom. Next section introduces the main driving force of the piece, which is using Foundations nylon to create an arpeggio that provides the melody but also the rhythm. To make it sound more intimate, I duplicated the MIDI and added another instance using slapback nylon, which on its own, I panned it. It's just very reverby, but it adds sort of like that room sound. What's important when sequencing guitars is making sure you're playing something that a guitarist will actually play. So if you see the notes that I'm using, it's basically a very simple E minor open string arpeggio. As we get to the next section, the pattern incorporates a melody. And I want to highlight this using the other guitar parts that I have. So we have the clean doing this. And then the piano is also joining in. So basically I'm orchestrating the melodies and the countermelodies using different instances of the guitar as well as different instruments, all using Foundation's instruments. Something I enjoy doing a lot is harmonizing across different instruments, like the two guitars playing this very little harmony. So you have a descending line that complements the main melody. That way one of the instruments is sort of going in a different direction as the other. They're still together. At this point, the rest of the instruments come along just to add more depth and to add more color and to add more texture. So this is what the strings are doing. I'm using a lot of automation to give it more humanization. Automate to humanize. And then the whole piano is accentuating the bass and the melody. Then the bass we had designed at the beginning comes in again, aided by the low piano. Nice. And since we're gearing towards the grand finale, we want to make sure we also bring that gritty sound design layer from the beginning, but now it's going to be in the middle to high range. And as you can see, I'm using pitch bend just to make it sing a little bit more, just to make it a little bigger and just to make it a little more eerier. I'm also automating the reverb just to give it more space towards the tails. And my favorite part of this whole segment is the very, very end, in which I'm bringing these rapid arpeggios coming from Other Worlds and clean motif guitar. And they're also harmonizing each other. So many notes. A little bit of automation goes a long way, and that goes for all of the parts. This allows the piece to breathe in and out, moving the reverb up and down, and playing with the cutoff for the pads and the sound design layers. So there you have it. It was super cool to create this piece inspired in one of my favorite composers using free instruments and mostly native plugins. And again, you can also use your native DAW's reverb, compression. Everything's there for you to sound design to your heart's content and to create a cinematic, epic, ambient guitar-inspired track. If you like this video, please subscribe, check out links below for more, check out Foundation's nylon guitar and all of our other Foundation's line of instruments, and hope to see you around, perhaps in podcast mode or not. Have a good one, guys.